China used US government money to develop the virus, we exposed a new scandal from Wuhan, and Boris Johnson is released from the hospital. Well, as if things couldn't get any worse for China in terms of getting exposed during this crisis. Thanks to Mail on Sunday, we have news stories in terms of what's been happening in Wuhan, in those labs, and how the Chinese government covered it up, but also how they actually managed to fund all that. So let's start with what they've been trying to cover up. So this is Xi Zhengli. She's a virologist. She used to work at one of those labs in Wuhan, and she's also known as China's Batwoman, and because her findings resulted in essentially discovering this specific virus, and when she spoke out, the Chinese government came for her. This revelation will fuel fresh concerns over China's cover-up, and so basically the Communist Party chiefs were frustrated when they found out that Xi Zhengli wants to speak out about this, and they also wanted to contain the whole thing before it exploded around the world. And so, I mean, Xi Zhengli has been working for years on this topic and various kind of experiments. And yes, we always knew there was a bat behind all this, and this was confirmed. And at the same time, Yanni Wang, director of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, sent an email to all staff and key officials ordering them not to disclose this information on the disease. I mean, well done, guys. We kind of knew that the Chinese government were covering up all this sort of stuff. They had some journalists locked up. A couple of the doctors disappeared, and now we have Xi Zhengli, who, you know, she was I believe one of the first people, or if not the first person, who wanted to speak out, and they said no. Yeah, Gao Yu, one of the journalists, was finally freed last week after 76 days of lockdown in Wuhan. And they kind of all spoke out, and he said that we learned late that her institute finished gene sequencing and related tests as early as the 2nd of January, but was muzzled. Now, you think this is bad? Now let's talk about the funding for these labs. How did they get the money? Obviously, the Chinese government were funding them because everything in China belongs to the government and the state. But where did China get all that money? The US government. Yes, the US National Institutes of Health, a government agency, awarded a $3.7 million research grant to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Now, this institute undertook experiments on mammals captured more than 1,000 miles away in Yunnan, and which, you know, they were funded, essentially used the US government money to do this. I mean, that's just ridiculous. This is exactly the problem I have with countries and governments giving money to others, whether it's in the name of foreign aid or grants. It's not right. Why are we giving money to China anyway? But, you know, we could just the US government, for example, could fund American researchers and scientists instead. So we don't know exactly if the money that was directly actually sent to that institute was captured by the Chinese state first, or they just used it anyway, or if the American government or at least the agency knew. Probably not. knew what China were going to be using that for. Well, it didn't end well, did it? And that's why we have a lot of US politicians kicking off. One of the congressmen, Matt Gaetz, said that I'm disgusted to learn that for years the US government had been funding dangerous and cruel animal experiments in China, which may have contributed to the global spread of this virus. And yeah, obviously, is absolutely right. And Anthony Bellotti, president of the US pressure group White Coat Waste, condemned the US government, for spending taxpayers' money in China, saying that animals infected with viruses or otherwise sickened and abused in China labs reportedly may be sold to wet markets. And exactly, that's the whole point. These animals came from somewhere. Well, it is ridiculous, and I really hope that, because this has been going on for years, it's nothing new. It's not like Donald Trump ordered this to happen. This was happening for years and years. And so I do hope that White House now actually look into this and fix it. You know, we need to review the spending that we give to these countries. Now, in other news, we have recently talked about hydroxychloroquine, which could be a potential tool to be used as a treatment. And obviously the NHS and a number of other countries have rejected it, whereas in Israel and other places they've tried it and actually it's been working. We finally have the NHS, two of the hospitals in England actually using it and trying it. Yes, hydroxychloroquine is now being used at Barts in London and the Royal Devon and Exeter. Donald Trump previously has said that the drug is a game changer, but the NHS has discouraged its use. Now, it will be interesting to see the results because as an institution, the NHS is still kind of against it. They're not going to be spreading it nationally. But if it is going to be proven right, then, it could be good news. And as Trump said, it could be a game changer. Now, the other problem we have is that we now have some Tory politicians exposing China because they're saying that this could all be a plot and China's attempt to exploit this chaos to launch a raid on British tech companies. And so this is we've mentioned when it comes to Huawei and other state-owned companies in China that want to expand when it comes to the West. And this could be a potential plan from China to actually use this to get more access to the West. And it could be absolutely dangerous, and we should definitely look into it. Otherwise, we can't just be complacent. And I've been criticizing Huawei for a long time as well. I mean, when it comes to, we're talking about a country and a government that are definitely, even right now, covering up the real numbers of people losing their lives. And again, this is in the Mail on Sunday talking about the fact that China every day are coming out saying, "Oh, everything's fine in China now. No one's dying. We've already fixed it. It's your problem now, West." It's not true. Now, on a happier note, the Prime Minister is out of the hospital. He's finally been released this morning. And so, yes, this is it's a great day. Obviously, he was released on Easter. Happy Easter to everyone, by the way. So it's been good news. And he just released a new video and talking about his story and thanking the hospital staff. And so, yeah, let's watch this first.
Good afternoon. I've today left hospital after a week in which the NHS has saved my life, no question. It's hard to find words to express my debt, but before I come to that, I want to thank everyone in the entire UK for the effort and the sacrifice you have made and are making. When the sun is out and the kids are at home, when the whole natural world seems at its loveliest and the outdoors is so inviting, I can only imagine how tough it has been to follow the rules on social distancing. I thank you because so many millions and millions of people across this country have been doing the right thing. Millions going through the hardship of self-isolation, faithfully, patiently, and with thought and care for others as well as for themselves. I want you to know that this Easter Sunday, I do believe that your efforts are worth it and are daily proving their worth. In the last 7 days, I have, of course, seen the pressure that the NHS is under. I've seen the personal courage, not just of the doctors and nurses, but of everyone, the cleaners, the cooks, the healthcare workers of every description, physios, radiographers, pharmacists, who have kept coming to work, kept putting themselves in harm's way, kept risking this deadly virus. It is thanks to that courage, that devotion, that duty, and that love that our NHS has been unbeatable. I want to pay my own thanks to the utterly brilliant doctors, leaders in their fields, men and women, but several of them for some reason called Nick, who took some crucial decisions a few days ago, for which I will be grateful for the rest of my life. I want to thank the many nurses, men and women, whose care has been so astonishing. I'm going to forget some names, so please forgive me, but I want to thank Poling and Shannon and Emily and Angel and Connie and Becky and Rachel and Nikki and Anne. And I hope they won't mind if I mention in particular 2 nurses who stood by my bedside for 48 hours when things could have gone either way. They're Jenny from New Zealand, Invercargill on the South Island to be exact, and Luis from Portugal near Porto. And the reason in the end my body did start to get enough oxygen was because for every second of the night they were watching and they were thinking and they were caring and making the interventions I needed. So that is how I also know that across this country, 24 hours a day, for every second of every hour, there are hundreds of thousands of NHS staff who are acting with the same care and thought and precision as Jenny and Louise.
Well, it was great, but my favourite bit from that video was when he said, I want to say my own thanks to the utterly brilliant doctors, several of them for some reason called Nick. Was that necessary? But yeah, so that was great, and we saw his sense of humour again. That was great, and we are ending this video on a slightly happier note. The PM is out. He's going to be out fighting again. He's going to be resting for a while, but then he's going to get back to Downing Street and work as usual. So this is what we have now, and I want to say massive thank you again to all of you, especially these days, for supporting the channel, to keep watching the videos. I wouldn't obviously be able to do any of this without you guys. So thanks again, and massive thank you to the members of this channel. If you want to become a member and get more out of it, then check out the link in the description or find the join button next to subscribe. Or you could just go on your browser and type in youtube.com/myituc/join. Just go on the page, look at the details, see if you're interested, and show your support, and we'll be together throughout this whole journey, and hopefully the lockdown will be soon finished.